AITA for not letting my husband come back. I, 23F, have been with my husband, 27M, for almost 3 years. We eloped and almost immediately were expecting. We were both very excited and everything was perfect until the baby came. Our daughter is 1 now. For the entire first year of her life, he came home from work, 9 a.m. 3 p.m., every day and immediately took a nap that ranged from 2 to 4 hours long. On his days off, he insisted that I get up with her while he slept in, and when he did finally get up, he gamed until he was ready for his daily nap. The household chores started piling up because I was caring for our daughter full-time and working from home nearly 60 hours a week. I expressed feeling like I was doing everything on my own and I needed help with the household chores or for him to watch her so I could take care of the house. He was dismissive and said he actually goes to work and wants to be able to relax when he comes home. An argument breaks out, I cry, he takes her for an hour, I do what I can in that time. The cycle continues. This argument happened at least 7 times before she was 8 months old. Right after she reached 7 months, we got a vacate or pay notice. I had given him control of the finances because it was too much for me to balance a baby, maintain the house, and work. I asked him about it and he said it was fine, he just had to wait for his paycheck. Ultimately, I found out that he was buying fast food for lunch every day at work and sometimes on the way home and eating it in the car so I wouldn't know. McDonald's was single-handedly draining our bank accounts. Our bank accounts, not just his. I didn't leave the house very often unless it was for grocery shopping so I didn't notice that he had my debit card as well. We ended up not being able to pay rent. We moved into the family room in my mom's basement. Several key events then happened that you need for context. I sold my car so we would have some money, but stupidly put the money into my bank account instead of holding onto it. We now had only 1 car. He lost his job due to attendance issues, consistently calling out and being late, and got a new job with less hours and less pay. I got laid off because the contract I was working under in my company expired and their partners didn't want to renew it. We decided it would be easier for me to just stay home with the baby instead of finding a job outside the home. Really it would just require us to put my daughter in daycare so I could go work, but we didn't have the money and he was still spending money recklessly, so we weren't able to save up any money for it. My mom removed me as a second beneficiary on her will, because she didn't trust that my husband would allow me to have control of the money I would get to take care of my 2 minor siblings. That turned into a huge argument between him and I because I see why my mom chose to do that. I told him he needs to start acting like a responsible adult who has a child to provide for because I would leave him if his behavior came between me and my ability to take care of my family. He reluctantly gave me all the debit cards and said something along the lines of, "It's great to know your whole family thinks I'm so terrible." We got our tax return and the money got spent on a PS5, a year-long PS Plus membership, games for the PS5, and fast food. More context events, he started being protective of his phone. Won't let me use it for a quick search, to call my phone when I can't find it, or even just for the flashlight. He started drinking frequently and wanting to go to a nearby dive bar by himself. Claiming he wanted to be alone and insisting that he doesn't want me to go. He got a boot on the car while he was at said bar. He called me at 2 a.m. asking if I had $105 in my Venmo so he could pay to get the boot off. I did not. I got mad and told him to figure it out himself. He came home and I confronted him about our financial situation. I asked for the receipt or service ticket from the boot and he said he didn't get either of those from the security people. He says he'll turn over all financial control to me. Spoiler, he doesn't follow through. Flash forward to the Wednesday after her first birthday. I want to take a shower around 2 before I go to my sister's rugby game at 5. I ask him to watch our daughter so I can go shower. He makes a big deal of having to start prep for dinner and that he was about to eat lunch. I told him I can wait, I just need to be in the shower by 3:30 so I can have time to get myself and the baby ready to go by 4:30 when we need to leave. He says, "Okay, I think I can do that. In the future it'd be easier if you shower at night when she is sleeping." I had a physical response to that comment. To this point of her entire life I had only been doing exactly that. And at this point her molars are coming in so she's not sleeping well. Just a couple days before this conversation, I had tried to shower after she went to sleep, but she didn't stay asleep. Instead of getting up and trying to soothe her, he called me and said, "Where are you?" "I'm in the shower." "Well, she's awake." "Okay, help her, I have to work in the morning." "Okay, I'm in the shower." "Well, just get out and come take care of her." Back to the current conversation, we start arguing about him not being available to help me with her. I told him he always finds some excuse to avoid taking care of her and he says he doesn't know how to take care of a baby. In the end, he watches her while I shower, but while watching her, packs away his PS5 and makes a point of telling me that since he's so unavailable, he just won't do anything he wants to do. That Friday is my cousin's 18th birthday. We have a tradition of taking the new adult to the strip club and I was so excited to go. I asked my husband if he would watch her already be in bed and that I wouldn't need the car or money because I was getting a ride and someone was going to pay my cover fee. I wasn't interested in getting dances, just hanging out and making fun of my cousin as he awkwardly gets some tea and a shaken in his face. He, surprisingly, agrees with no resistance. I go and vent to my aunt and female cousin about the shower argument. We stop by the bar next door while my cousin gets a private dance and I have a couple drinks. By the time I got home I was hyped up on spiced rum and "F that, would have left already" responses. I go through his phone while he's sleeping. I found messages and messages with other women on his phone, that include flirting, exchanging nudes, and him asking if they can host because he has roommates. Some of them are escorts that work the area around the dive bar that he's been going to lately. And I had a flashback to the boot situation. I screenshotted all the messages and sent them to myself. I look through his bank statements and Venmo transactions and see that he's been pulling all our money out in cash, so there's no way of knowing where it's going. I messaged him, yes, he was sleeping in the bed next to me while I did all this, and just went off. I let out all my thoughts and feelings about our financial situation, him avoiding taking care of our daughter, the messages, and how I feel for having let him manipulate me for all this time. When he woke up to that, his first question to me was, "Why did you go through my phone?" Needless to say, we separated. I didn't and haven't used the word divorce to him, but that may be the end result. He kept talking about how he has nowhere to go and I'm throwing him out on the street, then switching over to he loves me so much and he'll do anything to keep me in his life, and then spitefully saying he's gonna do better and succeed and you'll see. I stood my ground and made him leave. I laid out my expectations saying I won't even consider taking him back until he consistently goes to therapy, which I expect him to continue. If I take him back, he shows me he can be financially responsible for even one person, himself, and he makes an effort to maintain a relationship with our daughter, not me. It's been 2 weeks and things have been awful. I've been literally taking notes on things that are happening because I know this traumatized brain of mine is not going to remember how I have been feeling throughout the process or how I felt the day I told him to leave. It's been 2 weeks and I already have 8 pages of notes about negative interactions I've had with him in contrast with a single paragraph of something positive that he did. Last night he told me he's scared he's going to do all this for nothing, that I won't take him back even if he tries his best. And that he just wants to come home. I want things to work out because we were happy once. Maybe I'm holding out for nothing. He has constantly made me feel like I'm the bad guy for not letting him stay with me while he makes the changes I expect of him. Now I have these thoughts in my head. Am I the bad guy? Should I have tried to let him make changes while staying in the home? I just need some outside perspective, whether it's reassuring or constructive. Thank you. Update. Okay. Back in May I, F23, made a post about my now ex-husband's, M27, behavior that led to us separating. I mentioned feeling like I was holding out on divorce because we were happy once. But since then, things have changed. After making my post, I read every comment that came in, I consulted with my close family members and friends, and within a week I had told him I wanted to go through with divorce. He was mad, accused me of seeing someone else, incorrect, and then told all our mutual friends that I was out to get him, being a W and trying to take our daughter away from him, and that is only divorcing him for looking at corn, i.e. the nudes from the escorts, see previous post. He threatened a couple times to flee to California, as he is on probation, and forget we exist. But nevertheless, I kept all the advice and support in mind, stood my ground, and started filling out the papers. My mom and I filled out the divorce papers together. She has been divorced twice and wrote her own papers both times because 1. She could not afford a lawyer and 2. She is so incredibly smart and resourceful and just figured it out on her own. In case you couldn't tell, I love and admire my mom so much. She is familiar with the process in the state we live in and knows every document that we need and how to fill them out or write our own should we need to modify parts of it. I filed, handed the papers to him myself, and told him he has a week to fill out his voluntary affidavit of service and return the papers to the courthouse or I would have him served by a third party. He did not follow through and neither did I. I kept putting it off until one day he called me out of the blue to tell me he had filed it and got the final divorce decree for us to fill out and file. I was a little shocked that he wasn't going to fight anything I put in the papers, but went along with it before he changed his mind. Just for reference, I did in fact do everything in my power to make the divorce fair because despite the way I was treated, I was raised better than to be spiteful, especially when children are involved. We do not have any large price property to divide aside from his car which he had before we got married. And I gave myself majority custody because to my knowledge he was sleeping on his friend's couch while I had her crib, dresser, toys, etc. set up in my room at my mom's house. I also have a much larger support system in the area, so even if I am struggling financially, I have people I can lean on in those times of need to provide food, diapers, clothes, etc. for her, whereas he does not. Just a plain fact. We met up the following day, went to the courthouse, filled and filed the final decree. I have already gotten the final decree signed by the judge via mail. It was weird seeing the sudden flip in behavior, but I welcomed it. And then he told me he has a girlfriend and they're moving in together, yada yada. And my immediate thought was this poor girl is gonna get used for her stability. So they are moving in together. She is older than him, has 3 kids of her own, a stable career, and owns a house. I met her and she seems very nice and friendly. She also made some comments toward him that made me both laugh and feel like she will not tolerate his lack of effort when it comes to being a dad. Whether or not he is using her for her stability and a place to live, is not my business. My only concern is the safety and well-being of my child. I did dip my toe into the dating world, but if I'm being honest with myself and everyone else, I am definitely not ready for that right now, and I took my toe out and thoroughly dried it off. I have myself and my child to focus on right now.